Hey everybody, Rodman here. Thanks for tuning in to episode 4 of Oxygen Not Included. A little reminder of the scenario, settings, rules, and goals. Picking up from where we left off, I had mentioned that I wanted to add some plumbing. So for me to do that, first I wanted to just talk about what the demands are. So for sinks, we use water, and we output polluted, diseased water. And and the same is true for laboratories and showers. So what's going to be important is to set up a filtration system that can take polluted, germy water and output non-polluted, non-germy water. That's going to be important. Now, there are some uses for polluted water. So one use for polluted water is going to be growing things like thimbleweeds. So, for instance, thimbleweeds want to be irrigated with polluted water, or mushrooms want to be irrigated with polluted water. And then germy regular water is still fine for agricultural purposes as well. You don't necessarily need to degermify, agriculture water. It doesn't really matter if it has germs in it. But for our purposes, what we want is to set ourselves up in a scenario where we can filter our water effectively. Now, one of the things that we need to make this very automated is a liquid pipe germ sensor. The problem with this is it requires plastics, and we are really nowhere able to get plastics. Plastic manufacturing requires us to be able to get to the oil biome, which is kind of beyond us at the moment. But I will research it anyway, for lack of a better thing to research. Also, I wanted to mention a few other things. One, this wheel really should be deconstructed because it doesn't add to our power grid. So there's no point running on it. In fact, it could overcharge. Let's say our transformer was actually supplying 1,000 watts and someone was running on the wheel would add 400 extra watts, which would then overload the cables. So let's not do that. What else? The carbon skimmer doesn't generate oxygen. It just converts carbon dioxide into polluted water. So I misspoke last episode about that. We just wanted to correct for it. Alright, so pharmacology is researched. You know what I'm going to actually research is the flagpole, or fire pole. That'd be a good one for us to build. So there's a few different things I need to build for this project. And one is a hydrolock or water airlock, liquid airlock, whatever you want to call it. It looks something like this. With a bottle emptier. You can have 2 bottle emptiers, doesn't really matter. But you need at least one. The purpose of this liquid airlock is to have the bottle emptier fill this space here with liquid. And then that liquid acts as a barrier between gases on either side, which allows you to effectively have an airlock without an airtight airlock, because the regular airlocks, the mechanized ones, these mechanized airlocks open and close, and while they open and close, they will let gas between them. This liquid airlock is low tech. The issues, of course, with a liquid airlock, you get soggy when you travel through it. But the advantages is, they're actually perfectly airtight. All right, so here's another guy. Farming, decorating, doctoring, buildings. Nope, I just want the gold amalgam, thank you. So I'm going to set up the bottle emptier to empty, not yet though, only when we want the airlock set up so that people don't get soggy. Now you could set up suit wearing beyond liquid airlocks, and maybe I do that in the future, but for now, this will be fine, because I don't suspect I'll have to enter my filtration much. Once it's built, it should be fairly self-contained. So what we're going to have in here is a bunch of liquid reservoirs and valves and pipes in order to filter our water. So the way to filter a water is twofold. One, you're going to need to take a polluted water and run it through a water sieve. A water sieve will then create it will create polluted dirt, which will need to be refined. So I'm going to build my water sieve right next to... I'm going to build it here. Where's the output pipe? Yep, that will work. I'm going to build it right there. I'm going to just dig up this whole area here. I don't have any need to keep that intact. So first thing, we have a water sieve. The water sieve will take polluted water and sieve it in from polluted water and create clean water from it. But it won't kill the germs of the clean water. So the problem is, how do we deal with germs? That's obviously the next big question. The way we deal with germs is then we run our water through chlorine atmosphere. And that's what this chamber is for, this soon-to-be airtight chamber. So other things I want to do in here is, let's go to ventilation, gas pump. I'm going to add a gas pump here. And then I'm also going to want a gas pump on a switch. So I'm going to add a switch here. I'm going to run my power up through the switch into the gas pump so that we can pump the oxygen out of here. And then also we want to dump this oxygen that we vent back out to the other side of the soon-to-be liquid airlock. Alright, other things that we're going to need is the reservoirs. For this, I'm just going to use 2. And we just got fire poles. So I'm going to set up fire poles. Fire poles is a way for our duplicants to go up and down quickly. Or rather down, not up. Quite quickly. And it's nice to construct to be able to speed up movement. What else are we going to want? So for now, the water filtration system will be manual, but once we have the ability to manufacture plastics, we can turn the manual filtration into automatic filtration. That is the eventual goal. Alright, so we have 2 liquid valves. Now eventually we're going to have the liquid shutoffs, which are automated, but initially liquid valves. And the way this works is the water that needs to be filtered will come in here, or purified. Then this will then enter the... This will go through a liquid bridge. Liquid bridges help to determine the direction that water can flow. They can only flow through a liquid bridge one direction. It will fill up the first, fill up the second. I might need a little bit more room, actually. Yeah, I'm going to need a little bit more room. Let's... You know what I could do? I could actually put the valve on the outside. So let me continue this loop. So one of the reasons why you need a loop like this is that the filtration power of the of chlorine only really works when it's not in transit. If you just have if it's easier for me to demonstrate, I think, but the problem is if you just fill up one of these liquid reservoirs 100%, there will be some leftover germy water that's stuck like in the intake pipes. And if they're stuck in the intake pipes, what ends up happening is you get a situation where you'll kill most of the germs, but not all of them. And as a result of killing most but not all, you still have polluted water coming through the system. So the way this works is the water that needs filtration comes in through this valve, so we can turn it on and off, and enters this first reservoir that fills up, that travels from the second reservoir, and eventually the water will cycle through this whole system like this, so it's constantly moving and being exposed to chlorine. And then when we shut this off, we can then wait for it to all filter and then turn this valve on. And this valve here will then dump out to our purified water reservoir out this way. But I'm going to need to mine up some additional copper for this to be complete. So we don't have enough. So that's kind of what it looks like, and I'll try to explain it better when we are at a point where we are constructing it. But obviously I'm using a ton of copper on this fire pole. I don't want to use the gold amalgam for simple plumbing. Did I just make that out of gold amalgam? No. Because gold amalgam is really good for heat. It's not the best possible material to not have mechanisms overheat, but it is a pretty good one. So I don't want to waste my gold amalgam on simple plumbing. It's kind of an important resource for later. Alright, so medical equipment is researched, and a lot of the plumbing is set up. I'm probably going to airtight this so it's separated from the rest of this area so that the polluted oxygen doesn't constantly repollute. I'll wait until I have more copper. It's very copper intensive. As you can see, the fire pole rapidly allows the descent to dramatically decrease, travel time. All right. So we'll continue on this manual setup, and then eventually it will be a automated setup once I have access to oil, which is in a biome way down below us. Now, one of the things I'm going to need before I get to the oil is to be able to deal with slime, and a chlorinated area is a really good way to deal with slime because one of the things that you can do to prevent the spread of slime is to have ore scrubbers and suits and stuff like that. So I'm going to set up ore scrubbing and suits so that we can protect ourselves from slime lung. Now, slime lung's not that dangerous. If you get hit with slime lung, it's not going to like kill you instantly or anything like that. But I like to try to keep my duplicates as healthy as possible, and you know, sort of as a challenge, I suppose. And reducing or never contracting slime lung would be very, very cool to try to achieve. Also have to be on the lookout for additional sources of copper. Because we are definitely digging through our copper reserves with all this construction here. So the real advantage of the bathrooms is going to be that we can take showers so that we can become more comfortable. Alright, that's done. And we won't have to plunge or any of that nonsense anymore. That will all be sort of automatic, which is great. What do I next want to research? It'd be great if I could start ranching. I guess I'll start researching fossil fuels, although I think it's going to be a pretty far away for... You know, I think more realistically, we are going to want to get textiles production up to hazard protection. So we'll start researching all the prerequisites for that. I wasn't really ready to destroy this bottle emptier, so I'm going to rebuild it. Now, the germ sensor, as you can see, requires plastics. Plastics is obviously a byproduct of petroleum, which requires oil, which is kind of a far way off. But for now, this can operate manually, and that will be fine. I'm going to shut off the gas pump, because we don't need to be pumping gas until we have a water lock. And then we'll build these liquid reservoirs. They require a ton of resources. They are not cheap. So in the comments, I also acknowledge that, yeah, refrigerators aren't necessarily necessary. You can store your food in carbon dioxide. I just don't have a good setup right now to, you know, store my food in carbon dioxide. I just haven't built like that yet. All right, and this room is no longer a valid room. This is probably all temporary too, mind you. I'm gonna probably break this down. This is probably not really where I want my hall anyway. Oh, one who's many. You are a little stuck, aren't you? Oh, there you go. You got yourself out. Alright. Making this a valid room again. And new printables are available. So we have fertilizer, a supply cook doctor, a farmer. No, I'm probably just going for fertilizer. I'm kind of waiting for there to be a perfect duplicate. Chances of that are slim, I acknowledge, but I'm still going to wait for it, nonetheless. I don't want to queue up too much more. I'm just going to let them finish the current project. It's going to take a bit, you know? Bit of additional copper mining and the like. Probably should have held off on the fire pole, but it's a little too late for that, I suppose. So once we have the sieve up and the rest of the water filtration system, we then also need to get bleachstone. Bleachstone is a critical component. I can get this bleachstone here. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't want that bleachstone. The problem, well, yeah, no, I could get some of this bleachstone, but I gotta be careful because, and here's why. I don't actually want to crack into this chlorine. I don't have use for that much chlorine, so what I'll do is I'll mine the bleachstone around the chlorine, but not actually cracking into this chlorinated area. Okay, so as you can see, this is almost done. And what I will do is create like a separated cubby for this, so that pollution doesn't spread so bad. All right, and then this bottle should be polluted water. We don't want to fill it up, but we need to start dumping it so it stops polluting everything. Alright, so now at this point, I have reached a bunch of bleachstone. The bleachstone isn't going to outgas chlorine unless I mine it up. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bleachstone that I can mine without actually breaking into this chlorine here. And that's what I intend to do, but only after I've essentially built everything else that I have queued up. I'm going to pivot and actually set up some, change my research. I do eventually want to get hazard protection, but change my research to get insulated tiles sooner, because the heat that is generated out of this here is going to become problematic pretty soon. I did dig towards it. I mean, it's a little bit my fault, but I'll aim to fix. So if we take a look at the temperature overlay, it's like 120 degrees here. You know, it's hot. You can see the heat leaking over. And as I dug down here, same deal. This heat is going to start traveling towards the base. Solar research insulated, and that should be all set. Alright, so the water sieve is close to being done. And this sieve is going to intake polluted water from our bathroom, from our carbon skimmer. Really anywhere that there is polluted water to be had, it's going to take it. So let's create a pipe for it. And this water sieve will also need to be powered. All right. So now this water sieve is powered up. What we could do is reroute our polluted water from going to just the dump to instead going to the sieve. So the carbon skimmer here, you'll see as it skims carbon, the polluted water it generates will be going to our sieve instead. I also broke down all the other plumbing around here that we don't need anymore. Now this pump will still be necessary. This pump will pump dirty water to the sieve as well. Because sometimes we will just have liquid, polluted liquid water that we will want to pump away. So what I will do is I will hook a switch up to this pump. So that we can pump on demand. And I'm going to set it up so we don't have to keep walking in it. It's not even a really good spot for it, to be honest, because it's kind of a thoroughfare. But it's a little late to fix that. All right, so insulated tile. Insulated tile, I'm going to set up igneous rock to replace the whatever I had here before, to try to protect us from heat being generated off of the heat generated generation buildings. Let me also sweep this stuff up. Sort of clean up the area so that I can insulate it and move away from it. Okay, so I want to tidy that up. Now eventually I will want to make use of this water, maybe cool it down and use it for something, but that might be a little ways off. Alright, so I'm going to put the bottle emptier over here instead. This is just to try to keep her feet dry. I should have built it this way beforehand. That way we can travel across the ladders. We have a lot of soggy feet that are making people sad. Alright, so then, here as you can see, the plumbing is working. It's cleaning the polluted water, generating clean water, which is getting backed up here. But that's just because we haven't finished this project. I'm also going to want to sweep in there as well. So now we should be able to travel over this without... oh no, they're not even using the ladders. You know what I'll do? I'll set this up to be a smarter area. So that we don't keep walking on it. Nope, I didn't mean to set it there. So let's go set the water pump up here. Eventually. I mean, the thing is, for now, we want to pump all this water out and get it all filtered. And then move it to a more permanent location so that it doesn't get walked on constantly, because soggy feet is a morale penalizer. And here it won't really be walked on. In fact, I can build ladders across it to guarantee that it really won't be walked on unless the guys really want to walk on it. So as you can see, at this point, we have a bit of a backup. That's totally fine. Well, all we need to do is to prioritize the construction of these pipes, and then we will fix this backup. But it's because the output pipe's full, so the sieve can't sieve anymore. So as long as this flow control is off, I can increase this flow control here. And we'll start to fill our water filtration with potentially germy water. But as you can see, because this valve is off, none of it is flowing out to our aquifer. It's just staying inside the filtration cycle, which is what we want. All right, so printing. Blossom seeds. No ranchers. All right, I guess blossom seeds. I really don't need that many, but sure. All right, let's go back to hazard protection now that we have insulation. We still have to make the insulation, but we'll get doing on that soon. I just want to fix this sort of unfortunate project. So the sieve also will create polluted dirt, and that's why I set the sieve up next to the compost. So the other thing we have to make sure not to do is not to fill these reservoirs up ever. That would be a problem. Because if they're full 100%, they won't be able to filter properly anymore. Alright, so now, as you can see, this is totally pumped out, so we can remove it and repurpose this area. Make sure that pipes are actually empty, and they are. And actually break down the pipes too. We don't even need the pipes. I should have planned it out a little bit better, but oh well. So now we only have a trickle of polluted water. And at this point, we're going to be able to set up latrines and lavatories and all that. So, 2 lavatories are going to be next. So, for the lavatories, they need to intake fresh water. And for this purpose, I am actually going to make it purified fresh water. And then they outflow polluted water. So that's the flow for the latrines, or the laboratories. Now, if you're wondering why we still need the bottle emptier, every now and then you are going to get some spills, and those spills will need to be cleaned up. So here, as you can see, there is some food poisoning in this water. It's decreasing, but it's not going to hit 0, not without some aid of... So at this point, I am going to dump brine into this liquid airlock. And then once we have a airlock seal, I will pump all the oxygen out, creating a vacuum. And then mine up the bleach stone and store the bleach stone in the storage bin, which will outgas to chlorine, which will then filter this water. And then when this water is 100% filtered, where it doesn't have any food poisoning in it, we can then turn on this valve and allow that water to flow out into our reservoir. Complicated. Once we have plastics, we can automate it a little bit better. But for now, it's going to have to be a little manual. And that's fine. Right, so this is going to be polluted water. But that's sort of the basic setup. Now, eventually, having a germ sensor and the liquid shut-off valves that can be automated will make this automatic. But for now, it can be manual, because I am far away from having those valves. Alright, so once we get these laboratories constructed and filled with water, we'll be able to deconstruct the outhouses and then construct sinks and showers as well. Skill point earned. Sine curve. Let's give you improved carry again, because when you're not researching, you're going to be hauling for me. So you don't always necessarily need a researcher. Alright, let's get the auto bottler set up with brine here so that we can start to airlock this. Laboratories are almost ready to be used. Alright, so now the laboratories are going to have a full pipe. As you can see, the top is going to fill with water, and we no longer need the outhouses. These laboratories are now ready to flush. And then I'm going to build showers here. That will get rid of, like, soggy feet mood modifiers. Alright, so one more brine, and we will be all set. We'll have our liquid airlock. Let's go ahead and create another shower. And these showers are going to be fed the same way. Fresh water in, dirty water out. And I'm going to start to move over the sinks, or the wash basins into sinks. Same deal. Going to do one at a time so that at least we do have an operating, sink of some sort. So here, as you can see, brine fills both tiles. So now this forms an airlock. So if I turn on this gas pump, I will slowly be pumping out all of the oxygen from inside here to outside. As you can see, you can see the flow. All right, let's make the sink. This is the same principle. Fresh water in, polluted water out. I'm not going to queue up another new research right now. I'm just going to have our researcher do supplying. All right, so now these showers are operable. And soon we'll have a sink operable as well. We do have some muckroot with food poisoning germs. And as you can see, we have some other things that have food poisoning germs on them as well. Because we didn't have... the sink wasn't set up and we had someone spread around germs. If you ever get into a situation like this, one thing you could do, if you're concerned, is disinfect. We can just queue up things to be disinfected forcibly. And then also what I could do is dump everything out of storage here. So like, let's get rid of the muckroot. That was problematic. So that we don't include it. And then we can spray that all down too. As you can see, if I check germs here, the offending food poisoning stuff is no longer in these storage bins. Alright, so this here is slowly becoming vacuum. It's going to take a while to fully vacuum out. It's not an instant process, but... Alright, so let's do some disinfecting. This sink shouldn't be both direction, it should just be to the right. And get rid of the wash basin, and we will, you know what we could do? We could just set up the plumbing for the wash basin, so that, or for the sink. And we are now supplying showers for our dupes. And achievement earned. Royal Flush. Alright, let's get the sink in there. Make that high priority. Definitely want more than one. Now this, you don't need to really vacuum seal this, but it helps to introduce chlorine. Alright, so this will be to the right. And now we have, if we check, look, a washroom, which is a more morale bonus than a latrine. It's better. We do have a ton of polluted water that we need to remove, and polluted dirts. I'm going to make sure to catch up on our compost, too. I don't like to set everything to 1, but we do need to catch it up. Right, what's germy in here? No surface germs, but something inside is germy, I think. It shows yellow. Oh. Whatever we just put in there is full of germs. But these germs shouldn't infect us. Now, here, we could see Sine Curve has food poisoning on her hands. I could force her to... Oh, and I guess some of this coal has food poisoning, too. I can force Sine Curve to go onto the left side of the sink, forcing a hand wash when she rejoins the rest of the colony. What are you doing, Sine Curve? You look like you're idle? Okay, yeah, you are currently idle. Alright, so we have normal water here as well. You know what we could do is, it doesn't really matter if we dump normal water into the bottle emptier. All water is fine. So with everyone that is idle, see. The next thing I want to do is to turn off flow into our filtration system so it doesn't add any more water. If you end up with backups, what you can also do is to set up a situation where you've got like a holding tank for water that is queued to be filtered. But I don't quite need that, I don't think. Alright, I'm going to give my guys some work to do, because they're kind of idle. Because I'm not quite, this isn't quite vacuumed out. As you can see, it's close to vacuum. There's micrograms of atmosphere, but it's not 0. And I want to get it out to 0. I also want to start mining out ways of expansion. So I'm going to mine out a path like this to check this area here, because I seem to be locked in from slime almost everywhere else, but maybe not this direction. I can't say for sure. Let's do airflow tiles here. So airflow tiles allow the transference of gas, but not liquid. And that will allow the carbon dioxide that's here to leave once I break down these tiles. So that's also a good project. Oh, and here we have a dust cap, which is fertilized with slime. Storage unavailable because my storage is full. All right, let's copy settings and open. And we also have something printable. Or skills, rather. So, Dennis Keith. I don't know how I want to level you up right now. Suit wearing and supplying. I think what I'm going to give you is something you don't care for, which is art fundamentals. Copious free time. You're going to take grilling. And good egg. Critter morph from an egg. So who morphed? It wasn't me ranching. It was a natural morph. Oh, and another print Drecklet. Ooh. Yeah, I'll print a Drecklet. Ranching, farming, but you're a farmer and you're allergic to. Okay. Yep. I'll print the Drecklet. I don't have the ability to ranch the Drecklet, but that's fine. What I could start to do is to at least research ranching. But that is all the time I have for this episode, guys. So, we didn't quite fully finish the filtration project. We got pretty close. All we need to do really left is to pump out the remaining micro-oxygen and then add some bleach stone. And we'll have that next episode. And then next episode will also be maybe some biome exploration, obtaining new resources, making our way to oil. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to figure it out. But thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you all next episode. Adios.